But here's the thing about boycotts. If you are picking on a company that actually has to worry about losing customers, well, okay, that might work. I mean, if you have a majority of people who are on your side and they stop shopping someplace, fine. However, if you're trying to pressure an investment company not to invest in a gun company or something like that, and if that's not going to change the profitability of those gun companies, guess what? Okay, maybe Vanguard pulls out, maybe BlackRock pulls out, but it simply means the existing shareholders then can buy shares for lower prices. So the people who actually own the gun stocks will have more profits. So it's a win for the people who like guns, and it's a loss for the people who don't like guns.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, that's actually has the opposite intended effect that they want these boycotts to have. I mean, honestly, BlackRock and Vanguard, they seem too big to fail. And I noticed that Invesco, they also work with firearms manufacturers, and I'm curious as to why they weren't included in this boycott, because it seems specifically related just to Vanguard and BlackRock. I mean, any thoughts on that?
I have no idea what's going on in this kid's head. He obviously is enjoying his 15 minutes of fame. I might do the same thing if I was a kid and getting all this media attention. But as you point out, the underlying economics is not changing as a result of anything he's doing, unless he could actually convince normal, ordinary Americans not to buy firearms anymore. But in all likelihood, the fact that this kid is making all this noise is probably convincing some people who cherish the Second Amendment. He's probably convincing them, oh my goodness, I better go out and buy more guns because maybe this kid will succeed and they'll strip away our Second Amendment rights. The same thing happened with Obama in the White House. That was a great time for gun manufacturers.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yes, sales skyrocketed. And in fact, sales have, I mean, just recently in the past month, sales have been doing pretty good. I mean, if you want to go manufacturer by manufacturer, perhaps there's a different story. But overall, sales are going at a good pace. It seems like maybe back in the days of yore, Dan, that maybe boycotts like these would perhaps work, but it seems like they're working less and less. I mean, I just look at the example of Laura Ingraham in Fox News, where her ratings increased by 20%, so she's probably making up an increased ad revenue what she did lose with some of the sponsors that dropped off.
Well, again, it boils down to whether or not you can actually convince customers on net
Right.
not to patronize an establishment. Now, maybe some of these companies that sort of got scared by these boycotts, maybe they made a sensible business decision. I kind of doubt it. And of course, as you pointed out, Laura's ratings have gone up, so presumably the advertisers that are still there are benefiting from that. And of course, Laura and Fox are probably benefiting from that. But again, boycotts can work, assuming that customers' dollars actually follow the boycott. But this kid, David Hogg, he is going to have no effect on gun sales, except maybe he'll increase them. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether one investment firm or 10 investment firms pull out of gun stocks. Other investors are going to rush in to take advantage of the lower share prices, and they're going to make profits. And that's the simple reality of the way the economics of boycotts work.
Absolutely. Last quick question for you, Dan. I know some of these banks, Wells Fargo recently came out and said that they're going to continue doing business with law-abiding Americans. Citibank, though, however, has said that they want to crack down more on any business that has to do with firearms. And of course, they're up for, I think the price tag is a $700 billion government contract that a number of lawmakers are now saying that that Congress needs to reconsider, considering that now Citibank is thinking of discriminating against the very taxpayers that handed them a bailout just 10 years ago. What are your thoughts on that? Because I tend to get very uneasy whenever government is used to level the playing field. However, we are talking about a government contract in which it's made up of our tax dollars. We're paying them. I don't want to give Citibank $700 billion of our taxpayer money, our taxpayer dollars, if they're going to turn around and say, well, you're law-abiding Americans that want to be able to buy firearms and do business with regards to firearms. We don't really feel like working with you. I feel like that. I want them to bake the cake, Dan, and I feel it's fair to not let them have this contract.
My sympathies lie in that direction as well. But again, I do believe private companies should have the right to make dumb decisions. Now, I just wish I had a Citibank account so I could close it down. And you know what this reminds me of? Operation Choke Point, the Obama administration trying to lean on financial institutions to discriminate against gun sellers, and now they're trying to bring it into the private sector. I hope it fails, and I hope it fails miserably, and I hope everyone out there with a Citibank account closes it down.
That's exactly right. We can't ask the government to do things that we should do on our own with our own feet and our own dollars. Dan Mitchell, always so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
Good talking to you.